Hello guys, welcome to Dr. Science. So today we are going to talk about the nose from our ENT lecture series. Okay. So in this topic, I will be mainly talking about the differences between what are turbinates, what is meant by Meatus, what is meant by Kona, and what is meant by Kona. Okay. So first of all, I would like to draw a diagram. So please everyone draw this diagram here. So this here is our nose. Okay, and everyone knows that in the midline there is a septum. This septum here is called as your nasal septum. Okay, so as you can see here, there is the lateral wall of nose, and the extensions of this lateral wall of nose are called your turbinates. So here, as you can see, this is the extension of your lateral wall of nose, and these are called as your turbinates. So what is meant by turbinate? Turbinates are nothing but your extension of lateral wall of nose, right? So usually we have three turbinates. This is your superior turbinate, this is your middle turbinate, and this is your inferior turbinate. So turbinates are divided into three types. Those are your superior, middle, and your inferior turbinates. Once again, turbinates are nothing but your extension of lateral wall of nose. Okay, so once you have learnt about turbinates, then we can move on to what is meant by meatus. I want everyone to understand that meatus are the spaces between the turbinates. Okay, so once again everyone draw this diagram with me. So here is your nose, and here is your nasal septum, and here are your turbinates. This is your superior turbinate, which is an extension of your lateral wall of your nose. This is your middle turbinate, and this is your inferior turbinate. As you can see, between the superior turbinate and the middle turbinate there is a space, and this space is called as your meatus. Okay, so meatus is also divided into three types. One is your superior meatus, middle meatus, and the inferior meatus. Okay, so we will draw here itself. We will draw the three meatus here itself. I will erase this one. So between the superior, so as you can see, this is the inferior turbinate, right? Below the inferior turbinate there is this space, and this space is your inferior meatus. And between the superior turbinate, the middle turbinate and the inferior turbinate, there is this space, and this is nothing but your middle meatus. And finally, between your superior turbinate and your middle turbinate there is this space, and this space is your superior meatus. Okay, so I hope everyone understood. Between the superior turbinate and the middle turbinate there is your superior meatus. Meatus is the space between the two turbinates, right? And once again, between the middle turbinate and the inferior turbinate is your middle meatus, and below the inferior turbinate is your inferior meatus. And not only that, there is one special type of meatus present above the superior turbinate, which is nothing but your sphenoethmoidal recess. Okay, sphenoethmoidal recess is a type of meatus which is present above your superior turbinate. I hope everyone is clear with meatus. Okay, now there is a I would like to specify something here. This is your nose, and here is your nasal septum. I already told you there is superior turbinate, middle turbinate, and the inferior turbinate. So I already told you that there are meatus in between them. In this meatus, usually there are certain structures draining. Okay, this is so in the superior meatus, the middle meatus, and the inferior meatus, there are certain structures draining. I will talk about them in my next video, but please understand this one, so it will be helpful in your next video. I hope everyone is clear about meatus. Now let's talk about concha. Concha and Kona are not the same, so please wait for the Kona part. We will talk about concha here. Okay, concha. So I told you that here is your nasal septum, and here is your lateral wall of nose, right? I will remove the nasal septum. I'm sorry. I'll remove the nasal septum here. So this is the lateral wall of nose, and the lateral wall of nose usually have this big extension, lateral wall of extension, which is the turbinate. It is the lateral wall of turbinates are nothing but your lateral wall of extension of nose, which is made up of mainly mucosa. So this part is made up of mucosa, and inside this mucosa there is this bony part. Okay, inside this mucosa there is a bone. So concha is nothing but your mucosa plus bone. That is your concha, which makes up the turbinate. I hope you understand this concept. I'll just cut this one here. Okay, so concha is nothing but your mucosa and your bone. Now what is meant by Kona? What is meant by your Kona? Kona is the posterior opening of your nasal cavity. Okay, Kona is nothing but your posterior opening of your nasal cavity. So suppose this is the face of the patient, these are the lips, and this is the chin. Okay, so these are the eyes of the patient. So usually this nasal cavity, it is opening into your posterior pharynx. We'll draw the pharynx in a different color. Usually your this is the oral cavity, and above is the nasal cavity. These two are opening into your pharynx. Okay, and this is your nasopharynx, and this part here is your oropharynx. And as you can see here, this posterior opening, this is the nasal cavity, right? This nasal cavity is opening into the nasopharynx, and this opening here is called as your, this posterior opening is called as your Kona. Okay, so what is meant by Kona? Kona is your posterior opening of nasal cavity. I hope everyone understands the difference between concha and Kona. Once again, they are not the same. Concha is your mucosa. This is the mucosa with the bony part inside of it. Okay, mucosa with your bony part is your concha. Whereas Kona is the posterior opening of your nasal cavity. I will talk about conal atresia. There is a condition, congenital condition called as bilateral conal atresia in my next part. Okay, this is very important, and this could be a possible MCQ in your PG exam, so please wait for it. Okay, so thank you guys.